Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating approach to a nationwide challenge, recidivism. We're looking closely at Rhode Island's prison reform efforts and how the state is literally transforming the time people spend in custody into a practical, functional runway for returning citizens. Let's dive right in. So, let's start with a quick question. What exactly comes to your mind when you hear the phrase prison job? If you're like most of us, you probably immediately picture those old cinematic stereotypes, right? Maybe stamping license plates, breaking rocks, or just doing basic laundry and kitchen duty to pass the time. It's a deeply ingrained image in our culture. But what if I told you that reality, at least within some specific facilities today, looks entirely different? Well, in Rhode Island, a prison job might actually mean training to become a CNC manufacturer. Yeah, you heard that right. Computer numerical control manufacturing. We're talking about learning to operate complex, high-tech precision machinery. It completely shatters that old stereotype, doesn't it? This really reveals the reality of Rhode Island's ambitious vocational goals for its incarcerated population. They're moving far, far beyond simply keeping people busy.
Section 1. Beyond simple prison jobs.
Now, you might think highly structured, industry-level job training in prisons is some, modern trend or a newly proposed policy. But Rhode Island Correctional Industries, or RISI as it's known, actually dates all the way back to 1934. This isn't some new, untested experiment. Providing offenders with vocational training and tangible job skills has been a core foundational part of the state's correctional rehabilitation strategy for nearly a century. So, how exactly do they define what they're doing? According to the state's own budget materials and the Department of Corrections, vocational training is defined as skill development, structured learning, and a pathway to recognize competencies aimed at rehabilitation and reentry. Notice that incredibly specific language there. It's explicitly framed as an institutional mission. It's a deliberate mechanism to ensure that when individuals inevitably return to their communities, they are fundamentally prepared to support themselves. It's about making absolutely sure the time served is actually serving a purpose. Section 2. Inside Rhode Island facilities. Okay, the sheer variety of post-secondary education and vocational offerings they have available is pretty impressive. We already mentioned the fast track to CNC manufacturing, but check out the rest of these. Building construction, computer literacy, culinary arts, complete with food safety manager certification. They even offer OSHA workplace safety and legal research assistant programs. These are serious certificate-based courses. They provide a powerful mix of valuable trade skills and practical workplace readiness. These are actual credentials that carry verifiable weight in the job market after release. But the learning absolutely isn't limited to just sitting behind a desk in a classroom. Rhode Island Correctional Industries operates actual fully functioning production environments across a whole bunch of diverse shops. Incarcerated workers are getting direct, daily, hands-on experience in embroidery, furniture making, laser engraving, metal fabrication, and woodworking. They operate print and plate production facilities, and they even run service crews dealing with cleaning products. They are literally producing goods and services for state use while participating in these highly structured programs. To put some numbers to it, as of the current data from the Department of Corrections, roughly 130 offenders are actively employed through RSIC at any given time. That is 130 individuals stepping out of their typical facility routines and into a structured, functioning work environment every single day, applying what they learn directly to the manufacturing of real-world products. Section 3, Work Details versus Trainal. There's a massive difference here that we need to point out, the difference between the standard work detail and actual vocational training. Look, a standard work assignment like sweeping the floors or basic maintenance, that absolutely teaches basic punctuality and responsibility. But a true vocational program intentionally builds technical ability, expands a person's workplace vocabulary, and crucially, instills employable confidence. Rhode Island's materials make it entirely clear that their programs are meant to do far more than just keep hands busy. They're designed to fundamentally rehabilitate. So Rhode Island utilizes what we can basically call a layered model. It's like a building block system. Step 1 is where an individual engages in classroom instruction and certificate coursework. Step 2, they take that foundational knowledge straight into a production work experience, combining instruction with repetition, direct supervision, and real-world work expectations. And Step 3, they receive targeted reentry support. This isn't just theory on a page. It's an applied system designed to create a comprehensive work routine inside custody that mirrors exactly what employers expect outside of custody.
Section 4. The pathway to reentry.
Stable employment is one of the strongest predictors of successful reintegration. That is a foundational, widely accepted principle in modern corrections, and it hits the nail right on the head regarding why Rhode Island's specific strategy matters so much for reducing recidivism. Think about it. If people leave custody with an established work history, recognized skills, and the habits that employers actively value, they are exponentially better positioned to find work, support themselves, and avoid returning to the system altogether. The data consistently points to this exact conclusion.
And this is a pretty vital caveat here, job training alone simply cannot solve every single barrier a returning citizen faces. Rhode Island's own programming language recognizes this complex reality. They emphasize that vocational training absolutely has to be paired closely with ongoing education, essential life skills, and dedicated transition support. It's a holistic approach, the whole shebang. Teaching someone to run a laser engraver is fantastic, for sure, but they also need the life skills to navigate a job interview, manage a household budget, and maintain a stable life outside the prison walls.
Which brings us to our final thought for today. If stable employment genuinely predicts successful re-entry, how should we value the time spent behind bars? Should it just be about, doing the time? Or should it be about using that time to build a solid foundation for the future? Rhode Island's vocational model offers a really compelling look at what happens when a correctional system chooses the latter, transforming custody into a functional runway for reintegration. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. See you next time.